I wanted to talk about how I got through the tornado. I was without power for about 8 hours and I got 2 fish tanks. So I wanted to spend some time to talk about the things that I did. Nothing in my fish tanks, either of them died, and the things I wished I had done, wished I had put in place, and some of the things that work for me. But I think first off, let's pay tribute to the Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. That thing saved my fish tanks. I didn't have a generator. I still don't have a generator. They're all sold out, funnily enough. But this thing saved my bacon, along with some other little bits and bobs that I had in place. But let's talk about that now. We'll go inside and we'll talk about the things that helped me get through that night. All right, so we're inside now, obviously, and let's go over the things that work for me well in this tornado. And you can relate this, guys. Let's hope no one gets a tornado, right? But you know, this is for power outages, or you get a hurricane come through, anything like that. I think this can, the lessons I've learned and the tools that I use, I think could help you ensure that your reef tank stays alive. The first thing, and let's talk about the nano tank first of all. Actually, let's not do that. Let's skip back and talk about what happened. So we had a tornado warning. We were woken up by our tornado alert device and came downstairs and put the TV on, and there was a tornado headed straight for our house. It was coming straight for us. In fact, I guess it was only the last mile of that tornado. It changed direction slightly and missed us by maybe 1,000, 2,000 feet. We sheltered in place, but the power went out. Obviously, the tornado come through town and wiped out all the power. We waited until we were safe. Thank God we were. Couple of things: if you live in a tornado, an area where you do get tornadoes, the thing that I always have on my phone is an application called Radar Scope. It's pretty expensive, especially if you start bolting on all the add-ons that come with Radar Scope. I think it costs you like $100 a year, but the base app is actually only $10 a year. So I had that. I'm very much interested in weather, so I knew what I was looking for. I could see where the hook of the tornado was, and when I knew it was safe, we came out, checked on our neighbors, and then after we'd done that, the next thing for me was I needed to keep my tanks alive. So I backed up my truck to the house, and in the back of my truck I have a 110 outlet. The problem is that 110, the truck will only stay on if you don't leave the key in it, and I didn't want to do that, right? Because what was going through my head was, you know, people coming around looting and stuff like that. Listen, we don't live in a bad area, but hey, you know, these things happen. So I plugged it into the truck, plugged the extension cord into the truck, run it through, and basically I powered everything. I have 2 power blocks down here. There's some stuff plugged into the apex, so I don't keep all my eggs in one basket, right? Purposely, I don't do that. Yeah, so like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I run some of my stuff off the apex, some of my stuff off of just a GFA, you know, outlet, you know, multiple power outlet thing. It's got like 8 outlets on it. And basically I separate all my pumps between the two, so I'll never be without a pump. I work in risk and crisis management, guys, so it's what I think about, right? I think about the worst case scenario all the time. Anyway, so I knew I got my pumps labeled up. I knew, you know, where each pump was plugged. I plugged everything into the, there was no point in plugging it into the apex, right? Well, I mean, it wouldn't matter, but I didn't. I plugged everything into the normal GFI outlet. You know, you know what I mean, the power outlet with lots of different outlets on it. I don't know what you call it over here. We called it something different in England. Anyway, I digress. I plugged my two wave makers, and my return pump and my heater into that plug. That's all I run. I didn't run the skimmer. I wasn't worried about the skimmer. Obviously, the light, it was dark. I didn't run the lights. If it was daytime, I wouldn't have run the lights either. I was just running those three things. Plug that into the extension cord, started the truck up, put the power to the back of the truck where the 110 outlet was, boom, came on. Brilliant. Absolutely superb. I tell you what I did do as well. I took the filter socks out, because when you keep turning the tank on and off, right, it gets airlocked in there. So if you're doing that, take the filter socks out. Just run them without the filter socks. It doesn't matter, right? You 1 or 2 days without a filter sock max, right, is not going to hurt anything. So that's one lesson I did learn, is to take those out, because every time the tank kept on going on, going off, going on again, there'd be an airlock, and the levels would rise. Also, I took out the I didn't have plugged in the ATO, the auto top up. I took that out. I didn't want that. I hate that Tunzi auto top up. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world, but it is what it is. But every time it comes back on, it has to prime itself. It dumps fresh water back in your sump area. Useless. Why? So I took that out. Now back to the truck, right? The truck will only last 15 minutes before it turns itself off. So I went through this process all night. I'd get 15 minutes of run time out of the tank. Then I would swap. I'd go upstairs, right? But I didn't figure this out until much later into the night that I could do this. I would get the 15 minutes through. I'd leave it 15 minutes, then plug it in again. So I didn't figure out well later into the night, maybe 2 hours into the power outages, and this was an 8-hour power outage, that my extension cord would actually run upstairs, all the way upstairs as well, and power my cube. I didn't have a splitter, so eventually I was letting the car run 15 minutes, the tank downstairs, giving that 15 minutes, taking the power cord out, running it upstairs, plugging it into the cube upstairs, 15 minutes, rinse and repeat. I did that all night. I was tired beyond tiredness. I didn't sleep. I was waiting for the truck to go off, the tank would go off, I'd get 15 minutes, I'd have to go and plug the other tank in. Jeez. Anyway, so the Nano upstairs, I'd taken the ATO off of that as well, because when the water starts to stop and comes back on again, the levels can change. So I made sure I took the ATO, turned the ATO off in the little tank upstairs. However, before I figured out my extension cord would reach upstairs, there's a couple of things I did with that cube, right, to keep it going. First thing was, I posted on my Instagram maybe 3 weeks before this tornado that I just bought this. It's the Cobalt Rescue Air, and basically what it is it's a pump with an air stone on the end. This thing saved my tank 100%. If I hadn't been able to run that power cord upstairs, 2 hours after I figured out it would reach, this thing would have kept me going all night. I wouldn't have had heat, but I'll tell you in a minute how I figured that out as well. But I would have had some kind of circulation going through it. This thing, you plug it into a USB outlet, and you'll get, I can't remember how long you get out. I'll have to check the details on the box and maybe post, but I think you get like 2 days out of this, right? Constantly running. And what it will do is you can put it on a pulse mode. So it'll pulse every 10 seconds. It'll come on for 10 seconds, be off for 10 seconds. It comes with a power bank as well. I think this thing gives you an extra 48 hours or something. Amazing. I mean, this thing didn't run out of power at all. It wasn't even close to running out of power. I didn't even have to look at this. I think this, when I looked at how much power was left, there was still 4 lights out of the 5 lights available, or 3 lights out of the 4 lights available. This thing just had masses of power in it. Comes with a little USB thingy to charge it up, and you can charge it up when it runs out of power straight from your power outlet. One thing I will say, in my 10, in my Cube 10, this air stone is way too powerful for a cube. Had I thought straight, had I been thinking straight that night, I have one that came with another Eheim pump I got that would have been far better. This thing was spraying water out the top of the tank. So what I did was I found some bubble wrap and I placed the bubble wrap on top of the tank, and that solved that issue. But I only figured that out after maybe 30 minutes and seeing water spraying over the edge. Not bad, right? It was like spray, you know, the spray you get from the bubbles, but it was a lot of spray. This thing is no joke. This puts out a lot of air through here. And in fact, this on a 100-gallon, you know, if I didn't have anything downstairs, that's what I would have been trying to save, right? The Nano would have had to have been sacrificed. But this thing, no problem, would have give the 100-gallon behind me enough air and I think enough circulation to keep things going. So get yourself one of these. They're like 20 bucks or something ridiculous, maybe a little bit more, but for what it will save you, it's a no-brainer. Just go buy one of these. So the other issue with the tank upstairs was, how do I keep it warm? Again, right, I hadn't figured out that this extension cord would reach upstairs. So what I did, and again, if I'm clever enough, I'll put a link somewhere up here or over there or down there to the product that I use. But you know, you get those hand warmers you use for hunting or, you know, whatever. You take them out of the plastic bag, you shake them in the air, and they heat up. So I had a bunch of these things. I'd bought them off of Amazon because I hunt as well. And in the winter, it can get cold and you want to keep your hands warm, or you put them in your shoes, keep your feet warm. I had maybe 25 of these laying around. What I did was I opened them all, got them all going, got a big piece of tape, sellotaped them all together, and I wrapped them around my Nano Cube. I wish I'd taken a picture, but listen, the last thing I was thinking of doing was taking pictures of what I was doing and documenting it whilst we'd just gone through a tornado. But so if you can imagine, it looked like a bandolier, right, of a bit of tape that was about this long, and then a hand warmer, and I wrapped that completely around my tank. Now, I will tell you that after, I guess before I'd figured out, right, that extension cord would reach upstairs, I had, it was about 2.5 hours into the power outage, and I guess I would estimate, so I ran the tank upstairs at 78 degrees. When I turned the tank on via the truck, right, so I plugged it into the extension cord. This is after 2.5 hours, right? The Cobalt heater I have, which funnily enough, I have the same brand heater, one of those, I think it's one of those titanium ones. And the thermostat on that was telling me that the temperature of the tank was 76. So over 2.5 hours, I'd only dropped 2 degrees. And I reckon, although I can't prove it, and I don't want to prove it to myself, that had I kept those hand warmers on there for the duration of the power outage, I think it would have survived. When we had power back, and the power came back at about 7 o'clock the following morning, and it went out about, I don't know, dead on 12. I think the power come back 7:30. I untaped the hand warmers from the Nano Cube upstairs, and they were blazing hot still, which surprised me. It really did. And these things are so inexpensive. So get yourself some hand warmers, right? If you've got no way to heat your tank, if there's a power outage, get yourself some of these hand warmers, right? And do what I did. I will say, I had that bubble wrap on top of the tank that really helped to keep the heat in. And I also wrapped the tank in a blanket. One of the things that I had, and again, because I wasn't thinking straight, that I should have used, is I had one of those emergency space blankets, you know, the silver ones. I should have wrapped it in that. That would have done a fantastic job at keeping the heat in. And in fact, I've ordered some more of those. to go in my kind of Reef Tank go bag if we have a major power outage again. But that's one of the things that one of my lessons learned that I wish I'd had. So let's talk about that in a little bit more detail. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, otherwise no one's going to watch it. They'll just get bored of me. But lessons learned. Make sure if you've got a small tank, I think this would probably be okay in anything greater than a cube 20, but in a 10, this is too much. You're gonna have water spraying anywhere. So make sure you get yourself maybe a less powerful air stone. And the ones that come with the little Eheim air pumps would have been superb. So that's number one. I wish that I had a generator. Massive lesson learned. And of course, right, these things are expensive, so you put expensive things off and off and off, right, if you're not going to be using them straight away. You know, you go spend $1,200 on lights like that, but you know, spending $800 on a generator that you're never going to use, you're never going to go and pick it up. So if you have the means to get one of these generators, and there are specific types that would run these things better than, I can't remember what they're called now. There's a specific name for these, for the generator. They're tiny little quiet ones. I had a couple of friends that were that have been affected by tornadoes before, and if my truck will run, you know, just 3 pumps and a heater on that, the generator would have run both tanks, you know, charged up all of our phones, probably enabled us to run some, you know, electric fires if it was in the winter. So get yourself a generator. I think I really wish I had one, because the stress of not sleeping throughout the night, right, babysitting these tanks, added on to the stress of what had just happened, is it wiped me out. In fact, I'm still not recovered from that now. I still feel really tired, and I'm a bit lethargic and not wanting to do very much at all. What else did I learn? Here's what I kept on doing that night. I was forever tripping over the bloody wires that I was leaving trailing all over the floors. You've got no light. I nearly busted the door on the big tank, because the cable had wrapped around the door. I'd left the door open, and I kicked the cable. The door slammed shut. I was lucky. So make sure that you know where the cables are, and 2, have a good light source. I ordered 2 days ago, and they've arrived now, a pack of 4 LED lanterns. They're brilliant. They were $20. I don't need anything all singing or dancing. These things are meant to last for a long time. But just be aware of your surroundings, right? Because you're not thinking straight, you're panicking, you're trying to save all of your hard work, right? And the animals' lives that live in your tank. Stuff's gonna go wrong, right? So the more you can mitigate that risk of stuff going wrong, the better. What else did I learn? I guess a battery backup, right? The Ecotech battery backups you can get. Would I have bought one? Would that have helped? No, I don't think it would have done. I think I managed my tank better than that would have helped me in that situation. For a short power outage, yeah, sure, they're great, right? But I don't think they last that long. And someone post in the comments below if I'm wrong. But you know, if I wanted to run my return pump and the two wave makers over an 8-hour period, I don't think that Ecotech battery backup is gonna run that long. Brilliant for a shorter outage, right? Maybe, you know, half an hour or 2 hours, but certainly not good for long term. You need to have a generator. And listen, if you don't live in an area that's subject to like hurricanes or tornadoes, right, you maybe think twice about investing in a generator, because the chances of it happening are much slimmer. But I'm certainly going to be getting one, because you know, spending 8 hours running between a truck and a fish tank all night is not fun. So that was my experience. That's the stuff that worked for me. That, you know, I wanted to get across that I didn't run everything that I could have done on my tank. The protein skimmer, the ATO, they had to be turned off. Take your socks out if you've got a large tank that have got filter socks, because that will mess with, you know, give you kind of airlocks in the system, because the tank keeps on going off and coming on. Of course, if you've got a generator, right, you can put the socks in there. It's not going to matter because the generator is going to be running it all the time. But if you are running it off a truck or a means that's going to keep on stopping, then take those socks out. But this thing's incredible. I can't believe I ordered this about 2 weeks before the tornado. I know there are others out there on the market, but I can't speak highly enough of this. It really did save my cube. And that's all I got for you. So any questions, put them in the comments below. And thanks for watching.